Manager Kim kneels awkwardly in front of the girl who had fought with his daughter. His posture is stiff, like someone who'd rather be anywhere but here. His face is bright red with embarrassment. Nearby, his daughter stands, trying to explain herself, but it is not helping. She insists the other girl started everything, but the other girl's mother is not listening. Instead, she points at Kim's daughter with a finger that could practically burn a hole in the air, unloading a whole series of insults. It is like she has a personal vendetta. The woman doesn't stop there. She insists to the principal that they need to form an official committee to deal with school violence. And of course, that this incident should go down in Kim's daughter's record. The principal, clearly wishing he could teleport out of this conversation, leans toward Manager Kim and whispers that this is actually the third time his daughter has clashed with Hyeri. He mentions almost casually that Hyeri's father is the president of Juyong Construction. Oh, and there's this little rumor going around that he might be moving into politics soon. The principal's look says it all. Keep things cool, or this could get a lot worse. Manager Kim feels his face burn hotter than the sun, his fist clenched with frustration and embarrassment. He apologizes to everyone, hoping the whole situation will just end already, like he's trying to make himself invisible. But it's clear he was doing this for the sake of peace, and also for the sake of his daughter. He tries to talk to his daughter, asking her what she wants to eat. Our girl gets angry with her father, saying she doesn't want to eat and will no longer go to school either. She asks him what was wrong with him, that everyone else's dad are either congressmen or chairmen and had power and skills, but he was just a simple company manager. She begins to sob, calling herself miserable, asking why he had given birth when he had nothing to give her. She tells him she hates that she has an incompetent person as her father. Kim tries to call out to her, but she left saying she would be at Hyeryong's house and coming to look for her would make her more furious. On her way to her friend's place, Hyeri and her friends blocked her path. She slaps her while Minji grabs her hair and they both starts to fight. Then a boy comes forward and kicks her to the ground. His name is Minho, and he has a crush on Hyeri. He then grabs her hair and started beating her badly, while others watched quietly without intervening. Suddenly, Hyeri grabs a rock from the ground. Without thinking, she hurls it at Minji, hitting her squarely. The crowd gasps, and Minji collapses on the ground. She passes out and was bleeding. Someone in the crowd nervously suggests calling for an ambulance, but Minho, now looking even more agitated, stops them. He threatens everyone, saying if anyone calls the emergency services, he will make sure they are all exposed. It is a standoff. The tension is thick, but no one dares to make the first move. Minho calls the gang leader, asking for help with the situation. Even though he is more like a new guy in the gang, he figures it is worth a shot. The gang leader hesitates at first, but changes his mind when he hears that Hyeri's dad is the president of Juyong Construction. With a sigh, he agrees but makes it clear this is a one-time favor. Meanwhile, Kim, Minji's dad, is at home, having prepared dinner but not touching it. He is waiting for Minji to get home so they can eat together. It is getting late, and he starts thinking about ways to make it up to her. In the car, the gang leader tells Hyeri that he's only doing this because of her dad. He doesn't seem thrilled about it, but Hyeri barely listens, her mind clearly elsewhere. She tells him to just do his job and clean things up, making sure no one finds out. The gang leader chuckles and reassures her she does not need to worry. He says they've got a new machine for jobs like this, something that can get rid of a body in no time. Hyeri shudders at the thought, but does not say much more, just nods quietly, hoping she won't have to think about it again. The gang leader keeps his eyes on the road, his expression unreadable, but there's a hint of dark humor in his voice when he talks about the new machine. It sounds almost too convenient, like something out of a crime show. Hyeri can't help but feel a little uneasy, but she brushes it off, figuring she just needs to get through the night. The car hums along, and Hyeri stares out the window, thinking about the mess they've gotten themselves into. Neither of them speaks much more after that, the weight of the situation hanging heavy between them. Kim, now dozing off in his chair, checks the clock. It's almost 12:30, and Minji still has not returned home. His worry starts to grow, and he decides it is time to look for her. He walks down the quiet street, the night air cool against his skin. As he rounds a corner, he notices a small crowd gathered around. Curiosity piqued, he walks closer. People are speaking in hushed voices, some pointing toward the ground. Blood is spread across the pavement, and the sight makes him curious. He steps closer, eyes scanning the scene. That's when he sees it, a headband on the ground. It looks familiar. He remembers Hieri wearing one earlier. His heart drops as he picks it up, the sinking feeling in his chest growing stronger. Something does not feel right. With shaky hands, he quickly calls Haeyoung, one of Minji's friends, only to find out that Minji never made it to her place. The blood drains from his face, and a dark thought crosses his mind. His eyes harden, and he clenches his fists. The idea that something could have happened to Minji makes him look downright terrifying. Meanwhile, Minho and Hyori walk down the street, the air tense. Minho tries to reassure her, telling her everything will be fine as long as she stays quiet. He offers to walk her home, but just as they reach a quieter part of the street, Kim appears behind them. He introduces himself as Minji's father, his voice calm but firm. Hyori flinches, her body visibly shaking with nerves. Minho, not one to back down easily, grabs Kim by the collar, his grip tight as he stands his ground. Kim asks Hyori if the headband is hers, explaining he found it in an alley. Minho tightens his grip on Kim's shirt, threatening him with a look that says, "Do not make me do something I will regret." Kim's mind flashes back to a moment in his past. When he first learned of Minji, he was still in the military. Back then, he'd lost control, threatening a comrade just to get himself discharged. He thinks about how now, this clueless kid is standing in his way. He is definitely not going to let anyone stop him from finding his daughter. Not now. Not ever. The tension builds, and it feels like everything is about to explode. Minho stands tall, trying to look imposing as he slowly begins taking off his shirt, flexing his muscles. He hopes the intimidation will work, but Kim doesn't even blink. Instead, Kim rips off his own shirt, his muscles rippling, sending a clear message. He's not impressed. Minho hesitates, realizing maybe he's overestimated his chances. The tension in the air is thick, like a quiet storm about to break. Kim locks eyes with him, not a hint of fear in his expression. The silence between them stretches on until Kim moves, and before Minho can react, he's hit with a punch so fast and powerful that it sends him crashing to the ground. He struggles to get back up, but does not have the energy to fight back. Kim steps forward, calm and collected, his eyes burning with a fierce determination. He asks about his daughter, his voice low and steady. Minho, struggling to breathe, tries to answer but fails. In a move that makes everyone watching hold their breath, Kim grabs Hieri's headband, wrapping it around Minho's neck. Hieri screams, pleading with him to stop, but Kim does not flinch. His focus is unshaken, his question still the same. Where is his daughter? Minho gasps, his face turning red as the pressure on his neck tightens. His veins bulge, and his breath becomes shallow, but he manages to mutter a response. He does not know where Minji's body is, and even if he did, he wouldn't be able to help. Kim doesn't back down. He demands Minho contact the men who took Minji, but Minho just shakes his head weakly, explaining that they only contact him when they need something. It's like trying to get a hold of a bad friend. Only when they need a ride or a favor, they show up. Kim clearly does not look impressed by the explanation, but it does not matter. There's only one thing on his mind, finding his daughter. In a small enclosed room, the gang leader, Mincheol, stands in front of a man tied to a chair. The man looks terrified as Mincheol demands payment according to their contract. The man starts to beg, his voice shaky, but Mincheol just sneers, making it clear he's not interested in excuses. One of the goons walks in, dragging the man's daughter with him. Mincheol casually mentions that if the man doesn't pay up soon, they might just take his daughter's organs and sell them. It's said with such indifference, it is almost like he is talking about the weather. The man tries to plead again, but Mincheol interrupts, slapping him across the face. It's like something out of a bad comedy sketch, but there is no humor in it. The slap echoes, and the man stumbles, trying to regain his balance. Mincheol doesn't wait. Another slap lands, harder than the last, and then another, each one pushing the man closer to breaking. The man's will starts to shatter, but Minji doesn't stop. His expression remains cold, showing no sympathy. It's clear, Minji is not in the mood for mercy. He's only interested in results. Kim arrives at the building and knocks on the door. A young boy spots him and rushes over to Minji, telling him someone is here to see him. Minji, clearly not in the mood, tells the boy to send them away and shut the door. After all, it's not like it's a pizza delivery guy at the door. The boy, however, spots Kim walking in and tries to stop him. A hard slap is all he gets in return. The sound echoes through the building, and immediately everyone inside perks up, sensing trouble. One of the men grabs a baseball bat, ready to protect his turf, and positions himself near the door. Kim wastes no time, breaking right through it. The man with the bat swings at Kim's head, but Kim dodges it so effortlessly, it is almost like he's dancing. With a quick counterattack, Kim lands a solid punch, then grabs a rope and flips the man upside down, suspending him by his feet. The man dangles helplessly, looking like a fish caught on a line. Kim steps closer, grabbing the man and demanding to know where his daughter, Minji, is. The man insists he doesn't know a girl named Minji, but Kim isn't buying it. He tightens the rope around the man's feet, and the man screams in pain. He begs for mercy, but Kim remains unfazed, continuing to press for answers. Meanwhile, Minji, thinking he has it all figured out, decides it's time to make a run for it. He jumps through the window, certain the intruder is from the police and that they had uncovered everything about him. He decides to make a run for it by scaling the window, only to run straight into a wire trap Kim had set up. Minji trips and falls hard to the ground, realizing too late that he's been outsmarted. As he struggles to get up, he glances around and sees Kim standing behind him, a look of quiet confidence in his eyes. It's game over for Minji. Kim punches Minji again, his frustration mounting. He demands answers, but Minji just shakes his head, insisting he doesn't know where they've taken Minji. All he knows is that they contact him through telegram, but only when they need something. Kim presses harder, asking how they contacted him earlier that day, but Minji stays silent. It is clear he does not want to talk. Kim, growing more impatient, decides to take it up a notch. He pulls a pistol from his suitcase, and Minji's eyes go wide in disbelief. At first, he thinks Kim is bluffing, but the next thing he hears is a loud gunshot, and suddenly pain explodes in his leg. The shock is immediate, and his face twists in agony. He screams, tears flooding his eyes as he begs someone to call an ambulance. But Kim doesn't flinch. He stands over Minji unfazed and calmly explains that he only shot him because he still believes his daughter is alive. Kim tells himself he is not a cold-blooded killer. He's just a father desperate to find his daughter. Kim picks up Minji's phone and glances at the screen. A new message pops up. He reads it once, then twice, his eyes scanning it again. Something about the message makes his heart skip a beat. His eyes freeze as he processes what he's just seen. The message hits Kim hard. It says Minji is going to be put on a ship and she is confirmed dead. It feels like a punch to the gut. Kim reads the message again and again, unable to accept it. His hands start to tremble as he tries calling the people responsible, but no one answers. Meanwhile, in another location, the crew leader tells everyone to ignore calls from Minji's number, warning that it might be the police. He also orders everyone to delete any group chats or messages related to him. Kim looks back at the phone, seeing a notification that the group chat no longer exists. His anger builds, and he demands an explanation from Minji. The fear in Minji's eyes grows as he stammers, explaining that the boss had shut down the group chats. There's no way to contact them now. Kim's jaw tightens, and without thinking, he grabs Minji by the neck, his grip tightening. He demands that Minji contact them immediately. Just as Kim speaks, the man who had been beaten earlier lunges toward him, holding a knife. Minji tells the man to stab him again, but little did he know that the knife had failed to get a hit on him. Kim stands, gripping the knife with a bloody look in his eyes, aiming it at Minji, clearly ready to end him. But before he can act, the door slams open, and police officers rushes in, shouting for him to drop the knife. One of them calls for backup, quickly labeling him an assailant with a weapon. The officers take him into custody and bring him down to the station, where things start to get complicated. The group of people who had been beaten earlier all start pointing fingers at Kim, claiming he's the one who caused all the trouble. They don't just say he tried to harm them, they also throw in that he had a gun. The officers, trying to process the situation, check Kim's record in their system, but find nothing. Nada. Zip. It's like he doesn't exist. The only thing they have is his fingerprints, so they try that route. But when they scan them, they're hit with an even bigger shock. His entire record has been blocked, completely wiped out. Now things are officially weird. They had never experienced something as such before, which got them thinking. One of the guys who got beaten by Kim, he seems to be taking this personally, jumps up and starts ranting. He mentions Kim's daughter and how he did everything just because of her. He kicks the chair Kim's sitting on. Then, with an angry shove, he punches him in the face, looking like he's about to start a whole new round of chaos. The officers are having none of it. They quickly step in, telling the guy to calm down and reminding him that he's in a police station. They tell him to behave, and the guy, realizing he is not going to get away with his antics, backs off. Kim's phone rings, and it's from his daughter. The officers had confiscated his phone earlier, but now, in a flash of desperation, he goes berserk, beating any officer who stands in his way. He quickly answers, but there's no response on the other end. Frustrated, he tries calling back, but it just loops, telling him the person is unavailable. His grip tightens around the phone as panic sets in. Without thinking twice, he storms out of the station, phone clutched tightly in his hand. Back inside, the superintendent is fuming. He scolds the patrol team, frustrated by their incompetence. They're already dealing with the fallout from the situation, and he's worried about the bad press it could bring. Just then, a man approaches them. He flashes a card when asked who he is, then slaps an officer across the face, sending him to the floor. The man looks around, sizing up the room, and demands to know who's in charge. Turns out, he's not just any guy off the street. He's the director of the National Special Operations Bureau, with the code name Groundhog. The director tells them that the police had inadvertently uncovered a lead when they tried checking Kim's records. He's been on their radar for a while. They've traced his daughter's location, but it seems like she's moved. Now they're tracking Kim's movements and have pinpointed him at a nearby taekwondo gym. The clock is ticking and things are getting serious. In the gym, the taekwondo master is leading a group of kids through some training exercises. Kim sits quietly on the sidelines, watching. After a while, the master dismisses the children for a break and walks over to Kim. He sits down next to him and asks why he's come after so long. Kim tells him without emotion that his daughter is dead. Meanwhile, outside the gym, a team of special forces is waiting. They're poised, ready to move in. Inside, the taekwondo master listens carefully as Kim explains that he came to him because he has no one else. He needed his help. The master, looking calm and collected, assures Kim that he will surely help. But first, he needs to send the children home so they can get down to business. Meanwhile, Groundhog, the director of the National Special Operations Bureau, has snuck inside the gym. He is playfully messing around with one of the kids, but Song, the taekwondo master, quickly kicks him to the ground. Song then tells the kids it's time to go home since the gym will be closing for the day. Groundhog tries to make a move, but Kim steps in between him and Song, grabbing Groundhog's hand with a firm grip. Seeing Kim, Groundhog's expression changes to one of delight. Kim is exactly who they've been searching for. Before anyone can react, Song launches an attack, moving so fast that the special forces cannot even track his movements. They're taken aback by his skills, struggling to keep up with him. To their shock, they learn that Song is not just any taekwondo master. He's Song, an international representative and a legendary athlete. He's so skilled that even North Korea has tried to recruit him. The special forces are left stunned, realizing they've underestimated him in a big way. Song grabs Kim and they run out of the gym, both of them thinking quickly about their next move. Song suggests they get Kim treated, but Kim refuses, shaking his head. They hop into a van, and as they drive, Kim notices that the inside of the van looks more like a mobile base station than a regular vehicle. Song calmly tells him to adjust the vase frequency, explaining that tracking might be harder now that things have changed. He then suggests using a wide area network to track Minji's phone. Soon enough, they pinpoint the location of Minji's phone, but it is still a bit far. They push on, determined to get there. After some time, they finally reach the area where a large group of students is gathered by a gate, and it looks like they were waiting for them. These students are from Mubuk High School, known for being the worst school in South Gyeonggi-do. Song looks at Kim and asks if he is sure Minji is there. At that moment, the vice head of the students, Ijin, steps forward. He demands to know what they want, saying that the students have gathered there to fight another crew. He warns them to leave before they get hurt. Kim and Song does not bother and push past him, heading straight into the school. Kim whispers to Song that Minji's location is on the first floor, deep inside the building. They need to take a left turn once they enter. Ijin grabs Kim's collar, furious, but Kim doesn't even flinch. With a swift kick, he sends Ijin flying across the courtyard, crashing to the ground. Kim stands over him, one shoe planted firmly on his chest, asking if he's seen a girl named Minji. He describes her, a black blazer, red tie, and a heart-shaped keychain on her phone. Ijin tries to push him away, telling him to back off if he hasn't seen her. Meanwhile, inside the building, one of the crew members mentions the noises outside, but the leader dismisses it, thinking it's just a scuffle with another group. He tells them to ignore it and keep focused. Kim, however, isn't interested in ignoring anything. He charges at the crew, knocking out a few of them with ease. They're in shock, watching as 3 or 4 of their teammates go flying with just one punch. Kim's strength is incredible, and it's clear that they underestimated him. As some of the crew watch the chaos unfold, Song arrives and asks if anyone has seen Minji. The crew members glare at him, furious at his interruption. One tries to attack, but Song nimbly dodges and leaps into the air, leaving them stunned. They stare, amazed at how long he stays suspended before he lands gracefully. Suddenly, their vice head, Hyunjun, steps forward with an axe in his hands, challenging Song. But before he can even swing, Song takes him down with a single kick. The crew is left speechless as Song coolly declares he's heading to the first floor of the centermost building. The crew reluctantly admits that it's their main office. Kim, meanwhile, is still handling business on his end, walking up to one of the crew members who had insulted him earlier. With a swift strike, he knocks the guy out cold, reminding them all that they've just crossed the wrong people. The search for Minji continues, but with every move, Kim and Song's patience is wearing thinner. The tension rises, and neither is backing down. Kim and Song continue their way to the first floor, taking down a few gang members who try to stop them. Suddenly, a man steps forward and demands to know why they're causing all the trouble. Before he can even react, Kim grabs the man's hands in a swift motion, swings him through the air, and punches him hard enough to send him crashing to the ground. The gang member is out cold before he even realizes what happened. As they finally reach the main office, Kim kicks the door open, sending it flying off its hinges. The gang members inside freeze, thinking a police officer has come to arrest them, but their anxiety fades when they spot an old man standing there. They quickly assume he's just a teacher from the school. Kim scans the room carefully. He notices 2 cartons filled with cell phones, and his eyes lock onto a boy sitting in the corner, looking completely unfazed by their arrival. Kim's heart skips a beat when he sees Minji's phone tucked in the boy's shirt pocket. The crew tells him to leave, but Kim doesn't budge. When they try to force him out, he takes them down in less than a minute, clearing the room with ease. Kim approaches the boy and demands to know where he got the phone. The boy smirks, replying that it came from the girl last night. Kim's face hardens as he realizes what the boy means. Furious, he starts beating the boy, his punches leaving the kid's face swollen and bruised. The boy starts begging for his life, but he doesn't stop. Song steps in, telling Kim to ease up or the boy might not make it. The boy, desperate to save himself, admits that he was lying about the girl. He says he never saw her and reveals that his friend had stolen a bunch of phones and brought them to him to unlock and remove the security. He then separates the girl's phones, and as he looks through them, he comes across one belonging to Minji. He can't help but admires the picture on the wallpaper of the beautiful girl. The only number on the phone is her dad's. While checking the phone, he accidentally dials the number but quickly turns it off. He also tells him that in her message box, there was someone named Hyeryong, and she seemed to have been using her the whole time. He remembers that Hyeryong was Minji's only friend, and the last time he saw Minji, she mentioned she was going to Hyeryong's house. Now, reading through the messages, Kim realizes that Hyeryong has been taking money from Minji regularly and treating her like a tool for her own benefit. Back at school, when Minji came to her and asked to borrow her phone, claiming her own had been taken away by her parents, Minji had given her phone to Hyeryong without hesitation, only to later get mocked behind her back. Now, in a clearer state of mind, feels a deep regret. He wishes he had paid more attention to how his daughter was really feeling. All those times Minji must have been hurt, keeping everything bottled up inside and never sharing her troubles with him. He blames himself for not noticing sooner, for not getting to know how she lived and who she calls her friend, as she must be hurting a lot. If only he had been there, maybe things would have been different. Song tells Kim to calm down, reminding him that their priority is finding Minji first and apologizing for not giving her the attention she deserves. Kim, still worked up, grabs the boy by the collar and demands to know where he got the phone. The boy tells of a homeless man his friends got the phone from. They track down the man and they asks him where he found the phone. The man explains that he had seen someone throwing things into a nearby trash bin. He says that inside he found the phone and a wallet. A while later, some boys showed up and grabbed the phone from him. Kim, frustrated, grabs the man by the collar again and demands more details. He wants to know if the man remembers anything that could help catch the person who threw the stuff away. The man, a little nervous, recalls that the person who threw the items was driving a BMW and was bald. Song, sensing they've gotten enough information, tells Kim to let go of the man. He points out that this is all they're going to get from him. They don't need to waste any more time with the guy. The man, relieved, quickly backs away, and Song motions for Kim to follow him. With the new details, they've got a lead, but there's no point in pushing for more from someone who doesn't know anything else. The boss tells the crew to bag Minji's body, saying it's been hours since she died, and it's about to start smelling. They carefully put her in a freezer, sealing her away for now. With the job done, all that's left is the payment from Chairman Ju, Hyery's father. The crew grumbles about him, calling him a monster in human clothing, their disgust clear. One of them mentions how they've dreamt of getting revenge for a long time, and now, with Ju's daughter having killed someone, it seems like the perfect moment. They know this is their chance to pay him back. The mood shifts as they prepare for what's next, each of them ready for the deal to go down, but also thinking about the bigger picture of what they've been planning for so long. Kim urges Song to hurry, warning that they'll lose track of them if they waste any more time. On the way, Kim uses the van's inbuilt base station to access all the security cameras in the area. He quickly runs the homeless guy's face through the face recognition software, hoping it will pull up something useful. The program goes to work, and before long, it finds footage from the previous night. Kim leans in closer, eyes glued to the screen as he watches the video. If you're eager for the next chapter, drop a comment expressing your interest in a part 2. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Until next time, ciao!